I live in a big city on the equator that imports a lot of our produce. Food is at the heart of Singapore's culture, but it's easy to lose track of where our food comes from because takeout is just so convenient. I'm trying to reconnect with the heart of my culture through my garden and my home. Welcome to my high rise homestead. It's mid November, about one growth cycle into my growing season, and now that I've finally taken down the French beans, the garden is experiencing a bit of a lull. I've moved the brinjals that refuse to flower into a separate pot on their own, replaced the French beans with pumpkins, and you guessed it, more French beans of a different variety, and those are nowhere near harvest yet. My sweet potato slips are about a month old, so that harvest is also about another 10 weeks away, and the herbs are doing very well for themselves, so it's time for some garden maintenance. I'm starting with the trellis. I tied this trellis with cotton twine, and it is maybe 2 years old at this point and patched and frayed in some places. But the pumpkin plant is going to need a sturdy support to climb on, so this old trellis is due for some renovation. I'm untying and cutting off all the frayed bits and replacing them with fresh twine. The best part about using natural fibers is that I can just drop the fraying pieces of string into the pot and let it break down and become part of the soil. I've had friends and family ask me why I use cotton twine when plastic would be more durable, but reality is that plastic breaks down just as easily as cotton twine, especially when exposed to direct sun every day. The difference is that plastic twine breaks down into microplastics, which would then get into my soil, drain out of my pots, and flow into the drain, which then filters into our water bodies, polluting our reservoirs and the ecosystems in them. Besides, I would much rather replace sections of trellis as needed, rather than having to replace the entire thing regularly. There we go, good as new and ready for pumpkins to climb all over. Another big part of garden maintenance is pest control. Some pests will decimate the plant, where others just weaken it and stop it from fruiting healthily. And I suspect that is what a bunch of whiteflies and scales are doing to my lime plant at the moment. Because I don't have time to spray the plant with soap every day, it's time to pull out the big guns. I've made a concoction of hot chili padi and soap water, and I'm spraying the plant all over. I'm out of the frame, but you'll have to take my word for it. I don't want to get this in my eyes, so I've got some PPE. Goggles from undergrad lab classes, and of course a mask is quite standard gear for 2020. Or you could just take note of the wind direction and make sure you don't accidentally spray your own face. Though, I could argue that humans are the ultimate pest in the ecosystem that is our raging dumpster fire of a planet, but I think that's a video for someone else to make. Moving on, the sunflower I received as a gift has finished flowering and gone to seed, and is looking more than a little bit bedraggled, so I'm checking the head for any remaining seeds and chopping it down to free up the pot for some new cuttings I'm receiving from a friend soon. Same for my old pot of spearmint, except I'm going to discard all cuttings instead of trying to bury them, because mint grows like a weed and I don't need it rising from the dead to try and strangle anything else I attempt to grow. I'm also taking some mugwort cuttings to share with a friend. This plant too will grow from any bits of live root, and I have way more than I need. One of my favorite parts of being an urban farmer is the community that is created around gardening. In this part of the world, cooking and eating is very much a communal affair, and so I've discovered is the practice of growing food. Singapore has a vibrant urban farming community that includes people with all kinds of growing environments, traditional in-ground backyard gardens, community garden plots, balcony gardens, and corridor gardens like mine. In an urban setting, each gardener faces a unique challenge. Many of us are constrained by space. Some of us receive hot afternoon sun that is too harsh for some crops. Lots of people live on lower floors with less direct light and shady obstructions. One of the joys of gardening in a city is being able to exchange knowledge with like-minded people. We share our problems, we find workaround solutions to our challenges together, and when plants inevitably die at the hands of novice gardeners, people come forward to offer cuttings and new beginnings. Many of my herbs started out as gifts from other gardeners. Some have said that Singapore's rapid urbanization has caused the kampong spirit to die out, but I see the kampong spirit alive and well in urban farmers here. It takes a community to raise a crop to feed a person, and in feeding ourselves, we grow our own communities.